I woke up this morning with new wisdom on my mind. I know who I am. There's no need to hide. I got something to say. I'm thinking that it's time. Why? Cause I'm a young intellect. I'm a young intellect. I'm a young intellect. I'm a young intellect. Pay me my respect.
You are now tuned in to the Young Intellect podcast, an open space where opinions and experiences are welcomed. Hosted by Sam and Mafwa.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Young Intellect podcast. I am your co-host, Sam, joining you today.
Yes, hey everyone, I am the other co-host, Mafwa.
Okay, there are things in society that are looked down on, kind of deemed unimportant, not really talked about or addressed sometimes, and it might be viewed as unusual, but they are totally normal. These things can possibly improve society in a positive light and be beneficial to humanity as a whole by helping us to improve as people if they were to be normalized. So for this reason, we wanted to talk about things that should be normalized in today's society.
Yeah, I think this will be a good topic because there's so many things that if we did more of or focus on as people, individuals, and as a society, maybe we'll see more of the results that we want.
One thing that should be done is minding your business. I feel like people are sometimes too much in other people's business and they're always talking about what the next person is doing and not really minding the business that pays them. So I think a lot can actually come from minding your own business. You might improve in yourself sometimes by not focus so much on other people and focus and invest more in yourself.
I agree with that. Minding your business. Sometimes people are always worried about what other people are doing, trying to see if it's like legit or not. And then all this attention they're using to focus on someone else, they could be using it for themselves and helping improve themselves, but they're not doing that. And it kind of takes away from your growth when you don't mind your business and focus on other people.
Or talking about the next person and minding their business, but they're not even paying you. So that's why I usually say mind the business that pays you. You're not even getting paid, but you're giving these people so much of your time and attention.
Exactly. If you're getting paid to do it, then mind their business. But if it's not your job, then don't do that.
Yeah, that's free labor.
Exactly.
What else do you think people should do more?
It kind of also ties into minding your business. What I think people should do is let others peacefully believe what they choose and live how they wish, because sometimes we feel the need to police people on how they should live and act. Like, why are they doing this? Like, not really minding their business or trying to get them to believe something else or act a certain way. But it's not really your job to do that. And you kind of stress yourself out by trying to force people to believe what you want, and then you go like, oh, people are so stupid, and you get stressed out and like you just start ranting for like no reason, and you're just stressing yourself out because you can't get someone to believe what you want them to believe. And the best thing is just letting them be what they are.
Yeah, at the end of the day, no one will change because you want them to. No one will accept your views because you want them to. They have to come to terms with that on their own. So like you can possibly, like, if it's a point of view that you're trying to get across that is not getting to them, like, okay, state it, but like you have to give people time to actually indulge in what you're saying, and then like actually think for themselves. If they don't want to, then that's their business. You really can't force nobody to do anything that they don't want to do or believe in things that they don't want to believe in.
Exactly. And it really ties back into minding your business. Like, just mind your business and focus on your beliefs, focus on you, so you don't have to always feel like stressed out because people aren't doing what you want them to do.
Because sometimes it can come from a really positive place, but like the other person might not be able to understand where it's coming from. So you can try to like help them out in a way, but at the same time you have to know to step back and let people do what they want to do, because it is their lives. Even if they're making mistakes, they'll learn from it somehow.
So what's the next thing that you think should be normalized?
I think mental health discussions and having a therapist should be more normalized, because I feel like there's a negative stigma associated with it. But mental health is actually, having mental issues is actually very real. A lot of people have mental issues that are being swept under the rug, and like people are not really addressing it. And it's not common, especially in the Black community, for people to talk about these topics. No one wants to talk about how like their uncle might be suffering from depression. It's always like, oh, maybe they need to go to church, that will fix it. But going to church sometimes really won't help these people because they really need to get help. And also, I think having a therapist is very useful. I don't think there should be a negative connotation, because I know people are saying that, some people say that like when they therapist is like when you have a problem, if you have something to be solved. But I don't think that's really true all the time. It can just be a way to like really get to know yourself, because I feel like somehow we don't know ourselves a lot because we don't really know like maybe how past traumas might affect us and like shape us into the person that we are. And I think like maybe possibly having a therapist can probably help us understand ourselves a little bit more, and it shouldn't be trashed.
Someone was actually talking to me, like they mentioned that they had a therapist for a breakup, and I was like thinking about it, I was like, that's actually a good reason. Like sometimes you just need to speak on something and get that off your chest, or sometimes you just want to talk but you don't know exactly what you want to talk about and something's weighing on you. Having a therapist can really help.
Sometimes like you might just need to talk to someone. I know it's a bit expensive, and then you don't have anyone in your life to talk to because everyone else has their own problems to actually solve.
Sometimes people might look down on you for having a therapist, but they won't talk to you about your problems. So it's like, if that's how they're gonna be, you shouldn't feel bad because you can't talk to them about your problems. So, and it's not like it's healthy for you to carry these problems around with you. So seeking a therapist is important. Talking about mental health is very important, and addressing it too.
Okay, what else do you think we should normalize?
It kind of feeds into the mental health issue, just talking about issues that you're dealing with so it can help others. Sometimes we're all going through things, but we're so stuck on not talking about it or keeping it private for some reason. And someone else is going through it, sitting right next to you, and you guys aren't even talking about that, but you're talking about everything else that doesn't solve this issue that you guys are facing. So sometimes talking about issues that you're dealing with is very important, not just for you, but for other people. And then it can also turn out to be a therapy session. You never know.
And I think sometimes people keep those things private is because they're probably ashamed, because maybe society has said like this is weird or unusual, so people don't really want to share it. They don't know how it's going to be perceived. So like I do understand that part, and I do agree that it should be normalized, so for people to, if when they feel comfortable, for them to share their story, because it will probably benefit a lot of people.
It's definitely something that should be normalized. So because we won't need therapists if we could actually talk to each other about our problems, we won't need therapists as much.
And I think it can possibly build like a community type of thing. Like it's like a bunch of us went through this particular thing, and then like we have a support system community just for us, like people helping us and like improving us. And I think it's really nice because when you're around people that went through the same thing as you, like you can honestly be more comfortable and relate and be more open and just possibly move forward more. Okay, this might be a little bit contradicting, but it's really not to the first one. And I think it's keeping some things private. Like the reason why I say so is because like on social media people put too much of their life. I don't need to know that you had like so and so for breakfast every single day. I don't need to know where you're at every single day. And if I don't know you personally, I shouldn't know how much money you're making. Like, why are you like telling people that don't even know you how much money you're making? For me, I think it's kind of dangerous when people do it. It's not like from a hate part. It's kind of dangerous because you don't know who's watching you. Like, people really be watching you. You don't know who's watching you. And getting our information is kind of easy, because if you know somebody's name, you can just type it up in some website and find like where they live and everything. So when you put all these information out, it's easier to actually find you in a way.
I definitely agree with that, and it's kind of weird that we're saying this right after we're like, talk about everything, but no, it's very true. Living your life on social media, it's kind of weird to me, and maybe because like we're like more we can be more introvert, so we see it differently from some people. But some people put everything out there, literally what they had for this day, for that day. As soon as they start something, they like post it. Like they could have like, it's my first day at the gym. I'm like,
Yeah, talking about it more, I don't think they're actually contradict, because what we're saying is like, share your traumas with people that might actually go through it, not share like what you're doing, how much money you're making, and all those things that aren't really necessary. Like,
yeah, because like honestly, showing how much money you make, there's some haters out there, so they can use that against you. Just don't post certain things, just for your own safety.
Yeah, because people might be like, okay, she has money, he has money, let me go jump in front of their car and pretend like they hit me. Nah, a whole lawsuit, because they know how much money you making.
Or like, let me be their friend. You won't have genuine people around you, because people like what they see that you have. And they'll just come to you, not because like, okay, you're a good person, or they really genuinely like you. It's like, oh, I want the clout too, let me go. The next thing we put down that we think should be normalized is expressing oneself. And this can come in different forms. So men expressing their emotions, children expressing themselves too, and women as well.
Yeah, and with that, it's like, I feel like sometimes when men get emotional, people are like, oh, you're too emotional, you're not supposed to be like that, you're supposed to be masculine. And honestly, it's like, if somebody wants to cry, if something happens and a man wants to cry, they shouldn't be afraid of crying or showcase other emotions beside anger or clowning somebody. And I think it should be normalized. Like, I think it will be healthier for people to actually be able to express their emotions, especially for men.
Yeah, for that one, I definitely agree, because like, you can have a man, but they're a bit more in touch with their feminine side, and you can have a woman and they're a bit more in touch with their masculine side or whatever. So it's like, why is it that men have to be like this way and women have to be like, women are the one who cry? Sometimes you have stronger women who don't express their emotions, but sometimes you have men who want to express their emotions and cry, and that's totally fine. Like, it shouldn't be you're a man, you should be this way. It should be you have more of this, express yourself the way you are, because not all women want to dress up and wear heels and like be this like society standard of a woman, and not all men are, that strong type and want to come across like that. Some men like fashion a bit more, some men like things that are considered more feminine, and that should be like allowed, that people are allowed to express their emotion.
Yeah, and with that, children expressing themselves is most likely when you're younger, like your parents actually allowing you to express yourself. I think we touched base on it a little bit.
Yeah.
To just express who you are and actually giving you room to be who you are a little bit.
Within adults, I can see I can see who was let to express themselves as a child more, because they're more self-expressive as an adult, and they do what they love more than doing what they're told to do. And you can tell people who do what they're told to do were people who were kind of suppressed as a child, but people who do what they love or people who were like allowed to express themselves as a child, and you can tell.
Exactly. And a little bit with the woman expressing their sexuality and frustration, because I feel like when women express like how they view themselves sexually and whatever, people have problems with it. Like, I know WAP came out and stuff like that. It was like a huge problem with some people with these women actually expressing how they feel. And I'm just like, I feel like women should just be able to, if they want to do that, let them. That is them. That's not you. If that's what they want to do, let them. I don't know what's so much of a big deal about it. Why it was made a big deal, because these people that were bashing the song actually made it famous. It became number one.
I just believe like some women and some men are so uncomfortable with themselves, they don't want other people expressing themselves. And it's like, as men, like Future literally said in a song, treat a woman like I treat women like garbage, or treat a woman like garbage, one of those. And no man came up and said anything, even though their daughter could listen to this song and end up getting into a relationship where a man is treating them like garbage. But then they have women who are expressing themselves, being free, and they're like, I don't want my daughter doing this. And it's so backwards. Like, if your daughter's going to like men, right, you won't want musicians that are teaching her how to be treated good by other men. You want men who are telling her, like, oh, get treated like garbage, you're a hoe, do this for money, shake your butt for money. Like, men say this all the time. But when women come out and do express themselves, that's the problem. But it's not a problem when men do the exact same thing, and women aren't allowed to express their sexuality because men feel uncomfortable with it, and even other women do too.
Yeah, because I feel like the other women's internalize the way of thinking that these men have been thinking. So they're like, oh, no, we're not supposed to do it. And honestly, with the whole contradiction, with the whole WAP thing going on, it's like, if that's not for you, don't indulge in it. And just because you do listen, you might listen to that music, doesn't make you that type of person. It doesn't shape you into becoming those type of women if that's not what you want. A lot of people was listening to Trina back in the days, and they're not strippers.
Exactly. And it's like, there's so many different types of music out there. If you don't like this, don't try to change it. Just find something that you like. Because tell your daughter to listen to country music. Bring your daughter up in country music if it really makes you uncomfortable. And gospel music. They don't have to listen to pop, R&B. Just feed them what you want them to know. But don't stop other women from expressing themselves the way they are. Because women are sexual. People are sexual. You're not going to change that just because you feel uncomfortable, or just because you have a daughter, or just because your man likes women who like wear dresses that reach their ankles. Like, no one cares.
I remember reading a comment, oh, why can't people be like Janae Aiko? I'm like, do you really listen to her music? Because she talks about the same thing in the soft voice.
Exactly. Like, what are you talking about? She's a sexual woman. Loads of women are sexual. Like, you were born from a woman who had sex, so like, what's the problem? Everyone, like, if you were born, someone had sex, unless it was like IV or whatever. So, people have sex. Let them be sexual. It's so normal.
And with the whole frustration, I know we're spending a bit of time with that one, is I just feel like it's weird to deem somebody angry because they're frustrated. Like, you can't express your frustration, or you're viewed as an angry person. And it's mostly associated with Black women. When other groups do it, it's kind of like, spicy. It's like, what's it called, exotic and stuff like that. I feel like people need to normalize Black women expressing themselves with frustration. You do not have to be an angry person. Everyone expresses anger, so why is it so different when Black women do it?
If a white Hispanic woman was to express themselves through frustration, it'll be, oh, that's kind of cute, say that again. But if it's a Black woman, it's like, oh, Black women are always angry. We shouldn't treat Black women like that.
Anger is a universal emotion. Everyone expresses it.
Exactly. Everyone gets angry, not just Black women. So let's not act like Black women getting angry is something bad.
Okay, next up is woman leadership. I feel like there's bad connotations associated with that. People are like, oh, when you're women, you can't lead because you're on your period, you're moody and stuff. Some people have said it. I'm not going to be saying like everyone, but some people have said you're moody. Like, it's women are more emotional, so they can't make good leaders. Some people have said that, and I don't think so. I think men and women can be good leaders, and men and women can be bad leaders. It depends on the person and their character.
Exactly. And if you look at it now, if we don't like the society we live in, we have to look and see, like, men are the ones who have driven us here. So, if you don't like it, it's not because women have done anything, it's because men have done it. And also, it's only a recent thing, but back in the day, Egypt, which was like one of the greatest empires of all time, they had pharaohs, and their pharaohs could either be men or women. It wasn't just men. It wasn't just men that were pharaohs. They had Cleopatra. She was one of the most popular leaders. The one that people talk about, like, she had the most guts and everything. She led her people to war. You had Isis, all of these people. And we should really normalize women being in power, because women care for men too. Like, you're our sons, you're our husbands. We take you guys into consideration a lot more than men take women into consideration. A mother is like the mother figure is someone who will take care of all, like, you know. So we should definitely think about women coming into power, because everyone will be taken care of, not just a specific group that they think should be taken care of. They will consider all their children, and everybody's their child, woman, man. There's no exceptions for it.
Yeah, just broaden the horizon with leadership, to be honest.
Exactly. And another thing that should be normalized is men taking care of their skin, and I would say also their hair too.
Yeah, because it's like, I think people view it as a certain way, but your skin is very important. Like, it's good to start taking care of your skin because it deteriorates over time a little bit. Like, when you get older, your skin start being saggy and stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with a man actually trying to take care of himself. Like, I don't want your skin to be dirty because you're trying to be masculine.
Exactly. Like, it's okay, buy a brush that cleans your pores, buy a face cleanser. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, wanting to have good skin or wanting to have nice hair, like, it's not something that is exclusively for women. It's not something that women should only do. Men can also take care of their skin, and it will help you age better, since you do want to look good. Since you want to look good, so take care of your skin, take care of your hair, take care of yourself. Don't think it's a woman's thing. And let's not exclude men from it. There's spas for men. Men, go out to men's spas and take care of yourself. Buy some face washes. Buy like some nice soaps that smell nice. Don't just pick us, like, men just, I feel like they just pick things
Irish Spring.
Like, they just pick that 3-in-1 shampoo, like, or shower gel. Like, buy things that really, like, focus on one thing. Like, buy a shampoo that will take care of your hair, buy a soap that will moisturize your skin. Like, just take care of yourself.
Period. Yes, and I think people should normalize being single, because I think a lot of people view, well, not a lot, but some people view it as being bad. Or you're single, you're not married yet, you don't have someone else yet. And there's nothing wrong with being single. If that's what you choose, that is what you choose. Like, you can be single for a moment, and honestly, being single can actually probably help you learn more about yourself. You can actually take time out to actually get to know who you are. You don't really have to be in relationships with other people, or you don't really have to be talking to anybody. There's nothing wrong with you if you are single. Don't let people tell you, or something's wrong with you. Maybe you're not interested in men, or maybe you're not interested in women, or whatever.
There's literally nothing wrong with being single. Like, some people force themselves into marriages that don't even last. 50% of marriages end up in failure, in divorce, in the US. And some people are happier single. So let's not act like being single is a bad thing, or you can only be happy if you're in a relationship. That isn't true. Okay, the next thing I think that should be normalized is living at home with your parents. We were actually talking about this today earlier. Some people think that just because they're of age, it's time to move out, but that's not the case. Sometimes you're not financially stable, or sometimes you want to save, or maybe you just like living with your parents. There's nothing wrong with that. Being near your family, living with your family, there's nothing wrong with that. There's no rule that says that, oh, you're this age, you have to now live by yourself.
So I think it's really an American thing. I'm not really sure. I don't really know a lot, but from my culture, I'm Haitian. People really stay home with their family. Like, you'll buy land, and then there's a house, and there's like the family home and stuff like that. That's kind of how I grew up a little bit. So, like, I'm not really familiar with like how you have to move out at a certain age. If you do have to move out at a certain age, yeah, definitely that's good. But if you don't really have to, don't listen to society telling you, hey, you have to move out at this age, and so on and so forth, because you can honestly be saving money for your own home. Like, you really don't have to be out here living broke and making yourself miserable because you're trying to sustain yourself.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what you're saying. It's probably definitely an American thing, because I know people in the UK, they're still living with their parents. They haven't moved out because they can't afford it, and their parents aren't going to be like, move out, because they understand how hard it is to actually find a place and how expensive it is. And like, if they're not on their feet, they're not going to kick their children out. But some parents here do. It's different because it's a different culture. And in Africa too, as you said with Haiti, families buy land and they build a house where everybody stays. It's a family thing. It's not, okay, you're old enough, go away, we don't want you, you're a burden. It's your family, you're staying here. And I think that's something that should also be normalized, letting your kids stay at home for as long as they need, and actually being a family rather than just trying to get rid of them.
Yeah, and piggybacking off that, I know like some people, they kind of chastise parents actually like supporting their kids financially. It's like, oh, you're this age, you should be able to do it financially. It's real hard to financially support yourself. It really is. Like, paying all your bills is not easy. So like, if your parents are helping you, definitely take it until you actually can actually stand on two of your feet and do it yourself, because it's hard.
There's nothing wrong with your parents wanting to help you, and there's nothing wrong with parents wanting to help their kids. Just because you didn't go through that or you don't have that doesn't mean it's wrong, or the child is being spoiled. Some families actually want to operate as a family unit. They don't want to see their kids struggle. They want to be there for their kids, and that's totally normal. They will split the bills. They want to live together, and you see this a lot with especially Hispanic families. They're really good at sticking as one. And even African families in Africa, they're very good at sticking as one. And different cultures, Asian families, it's not like, okay, you're at this point, go off, do you. It's, we're family, we're going to get through this together. And that's how it should be.
Yeah, definitely. Like, if you want to establish a form of independence, yeah, you can start. And like, if you want to start paying some parts of your bills, yeah, that definitely would teach you a bit of independence, because you have to pay that bill. But also, like, getting help is not a bad thing.
It's not.
Another thing I believe that should be normalized is men and women being friends and having platonic relationships. Because I feel like in this society, we believe that men and women can be friends. Like, why not? If women and women can be friends, men and men can be friends, why not men and women? Like, romantic relationships can be with anybody, to be honest. So why can't men and women be friends? I really don't understand that.
Exactly. You're you could be married to a woman and they're having a relationship with another woman, and you could be married to a man and they have a relationship with another man. So it's really like, you never know like what they prefer unless they tell you, obviously, unless they're that open with you. So it's not just because they have women friends, they're cheating on you with them. They could be cheating on you with their male friends. They could be cheating on you with their women friends. There's no rules to the game. Yeah, so we should just normalize people being friends with other people. It shouldn't be their mind, so they can't talk to anyone else, because that's selfishness, and they could really just be friends and have a good relationship with each other that has nothing to do with anything sexual.
Yeah, and you can possibly learn more from the opposite sex than you would just by talking to your other female friends about them. Because how are you going to learn from certain men if you don't really have men friends? Or how are you going to learn from women if you don't have women friends and you're just going off your own mindset?
That's very true. It helps open your mind.
Yeah.
Another thing that I think should be normalized is showing love and complimenting others, as well as accepting love and compliments.
And I think with like showing love, sometimes it's like some people want to do it, but because certain people view things as being weird, like if I want to comment on someone and be like, or give them a compliment, it might seem weird to that other person, or they might think I like them or I want something from them. In reality, I'm just trying to compliment you, and it's sometimes hard for people to compliment other people because it's like, I don't want to be perceived as a way that I'm not trying to come off as. I genuinely want to compliment you. I like your hair for real. You look really nice. Like, you doing the thing, and like, I just want to compliment. It's not coming from a negative place at all. It's not me trying to get to know you or trying to take advantage or anything like that.
Yeah, like sometimes you might even see a random picture and want to comment, oh, you look really beautiful, and there's nothing, like you don't even know this person. You might not even want to get to know this person. You just want to tell them they're beautiful. So we should let people, well, obviously they're free to do that, but we should
normalize it.
Normalize it.
Not make it seem like it's weird to receive a compliment. And another thing that should be normalized is stretch marks, because honestly, for a long time I thought stretch marks were kind of bad. They were viewed. I still have some issues with, actually, like, I have stretch marks. A lot of people have stretch marks. We're actually displaying it because a lot of people have like, oh, you can't be out here showing your stretch marks, and it's like not my fault. Like, stretch marks just come, like, I had to grow, so I didn't stay the same size. Even skinny people have stretch marks. Like, anyone can have stretch marks, and I don't think it's a bad thing. Like, you had to grow, so definitely your body stretched and it left a mark.
Even though, like, nowadays they're like, oh, stretch marks are cute, for a long time they weren't. So it's like, I still have to get used to accepting my own stretch marks. Like, I have stretch marks on my boobs, and I'm like, I don't know if I should wear this dress because they could see it. And, like, honestly, accepting stretch marks, not just on your butt, because I think that's where people like, okay, yeah, she's got a big butt, but everywhere, not just on your butt, like on your sides, maybe your arms, your chest, like anywhere, wherever they grow, we're accepting stretch marks everywhere, not just in one place.
Exactly.
I think another thing that should be normalized is self-sufficiency. In this society, we really given up our power to learning how to sustain ourselves. Like, we don't know how to do much for ourselves. A lot of it is done for us. So growing your food is something I think should be normalized, or growing some type of food, learning how to provide for yourself in some sort of way other than going to work and making money. Like, what happens if food runs out at the stores? You need to learn how to grow your own food. And I remember watching this documentary, and it's like, there were poor people in this country. I'm not going to mention the name because, yeah, there were poor people in this country, and the people who could grow their own food were actually doing better than those who couldn't, because they could at least put food on their families' plates.
That's a good point. I do see, like, people are starting to take that route a little bit more, like, not a lot, but people are starting to be like growing their gardens a little bit. So yeah, that's something that should definitely be normalized. And also with being self-sufficient, actually, like, and educate yourself in your financials and trying to do things for yourself in that aspect.
Finances is very important too. Learning how to manage your own money. I think that's being sufficient as well. Not trying to look to someone for advice. Some of these things you can really figure out by yourself. You don't need someone to figure it out for you.
And another thing that should be normalized is self-protection and your family's protection. So basically, owning a gun shouldn't be so bad. You have to have a license. I believe, like, for owning a gun, you should have a psychological test and a license, because crazy people have been getting access to guns all the time. So there should be a better process to obtaining a gun, but having one shouldn't be bad, because you just never know what crazy people might pop out your house, and you might need to protect yourself and your family. There's nothing wrong with trying to protect yourself and your family.
That is very true. Guns are very easily accessible, yeah, but just because certain bad things have happened with guns doesn't mean that you should leave yourself defenseless because you disagree with the policies. We live in the US, so we're living in a society where guns are available to everybody, as long as you fit the criteria, like the mental criteria. Basically, you can obtain a license. So if you can obtain a license, you shouldn't leave yourself open to things that could
victimize.
You're open to being a victim just because you disagree with the gun policy. Things are crazy these days. People might break into your house, try to steal something, try to shoot at you for no reason. You need a way to defend yourself. And also self-defense classes. Getting your kids into self-defense classes, because they're crazy people on these streets. And another thing that should be normalized is not feeding into the media or the foolishness. Some people feel like they have to respond to what's going on in society or have to partake in what's being said in the media, but you really don't. It's a choice. If you don't like something, just completely cut it off. You don't have to change. We're never going to change the media. It's so big. It's run by people that have so much money, and if you don't like it, there's nothing you can do about it. Just don't feed into it.
Yeah, honestly, that's what I do. Like, I'm finding myself more and more walking away from things that just doesn't sit right with me. And one last thing that I believe that should be normalized for this episode is protecting black women. Why? The reason why I said so, protecting all women should definitely be something that should be normalized. The reason why I say black women is because I feel like they're the ones that have the least amount of protection in today's society. I was reading this tweet that this person was talking about. It was basically in response to what was going on with Megan Thee Stallion, and someone said that they were in a club and the man was trying to talk to them, and then the club got shot up and stuff like that. And the man tried to use her as a shield instead of both of them trying to get down on the floor and protecting both of themselves. He tried to use her as a shield. And then when the things died down and the cops came and stuff like that, she said when she walked out, and the man was laughing at her, like just laughing. But if honestly, that's kind of sick. And with the whole like thing that was going on with Megan Thee Stallion, how like people treated her when she's a victim, it really was like, it honestly bothered me. It's like this girl has been going through a lot of stuff, and all you guys want to do is tear this woman down and not try to protect her and uplift her and create a positive space for her. Now, if like she decided to take her own life, everyone would feel some type of way.
Black women are the most, I believe they're the worst treated in society, regardless of what anyone wants to say. Black men have it too, but black women, being a woman in society is hard. You're the underdog. Then being black, you're really the underdog, and combining them both, you're just at the bottom, period. And sometimes we don't, even as women, we don't protect other women. But I would say black men are a lot better at protecting their women than white men are. That's just my opinion. They treat their women a lot better in some sense. But definitely protecting black women, because we are the underdogs in society, and just having at least some respect, treating us with respect and love doesn't cost anything. The black men who are raised right, they treat black women really good, but we should normalize treating black women good, period.
Yeah, not just some, because people do it. I'm not gonna say like everyone don't protect black women. There's people that actually have done that. Yeah, this black woman, she lives where I think she has a son or something. She has a child, and then like her neighbors were basically harassing her. She had white neighbors, and then there was a black man, and people came to support her and slept in their cars to protect her. So I'm not saying it never happens. Just normalize it and make it more common.
I think that was it. That was actually a really good discussion, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was really wonderful. I enjoyed this. We'll probably have a little bit more, because there's a lot of things that should be normalized and things that shouldn't. So stay tuned. Thank you for joining us today on the Young Intellect Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, and tell a friend about us. Also, follow us on Instagram at Young Intellect Pod. Make sure you take care of yourself and your mind.
Cause I'm a young intellect. I'm a young intellect. I'm a young intellect. I'm a young intellect.